Hi, I'm Jake.
And I'm Shelby.
And welcome to Deep Dive. In this very special episode, me and Shelby are diving deeper than we ever have before, all into the blue-filtered world of Twilight.
And how a low-budget indie film about teenage vampires didn't just launch a multi-billion-dollar franchise.
It ignited a global obsession.
She gave 21-year-old R. Pat a strict warning about falling for a then 17-year-old Kristen. I told Rob, don't even think about having a romance with her. She's under 18. You will be arrested.
A cultural phenomenon so massive, it transformed Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson from rising stars into the most watched couple on the planet, virtually overnight. Tabloid after tabloid, headline after headline, every moment of their lives were dissected, to the point their love story became a product to sell.
Nowhere was safe for Rob and Kristen from the paparazzi, a lesson a teenage Kristen would learn the hardest way possible. One singular set of photos would halt Kristen's rising career in its tracks, as she would become the most talked about cheating scandal in Hollywood history.
Fame, the love, the fantasy, now back to reality. Thank you for things you did and never thought I'd get a clue. Yeah, you wanted me to be that faithful to you. Not let nobody's body touch my body in positions that we only know.
The world was Team Edward and Jacob, but Kristen was Team Rupert.
So grab your floaty, vampire fangs, and a snack as we dive into just how Hollywood's most famous couple of 2008 would launch into superstardom.
And just how Hollywood attempted to send Kristen Stewart's rising star tumbling to the ground before it could even shoot off.
On June 2nd, 2003, a stay-at-home mom named Stephanie Meyer had this very vivid dream that took place in a meadow with a human girl and a vampire who had fallen madly in love with each other. The dream was so intense, Stephanie just couldn't shake it. So she wrote it down, and before she knew it, she had written all of chapter 13. What she didn't know that night was that she was in the midst of creating a cultural phenomenon that would change pop culture forever. A book series called Twilight. Now, before the first book had even been published, the manuscript caught the eye of a producer who brought it to MTV Films, and they snatched up the movie rights on the spot. An entire script was developed, but it was so far off from the book that Stephanie Meyer said they could have filmed it and not called it Twilight. Think an action movie where Bella was instead a long-distance runner, complete with high-speed jet ski chases from the FBI. Basically, MTV thought that the book was too romantic, and they wanted to also capture a male audience. When Twilight officially released in 2005, it immediately debuted at number 5 on the New York Times bestseller list. Right away, it started to garner a massive teenage cult following through forums, fanfic communities, and on MySpace. Despite the rapidly growing fandom, MTV didn't think the market was right for a vampire werewolf teen movie, so the rights went back up on the market. Summit Entertainment, a then small independent studio, thought Twilight was the perfect project. They were looking for a female-driven franchise that could compete with the success of Harry Potter while also being much cheaper to develop. The budget was $37 million, which in the blockbuster world is considered low. Summit couldn't afford to do a bunch of special effects, so they had to really rely on the love story. That is when they brought in Catherine Hardwicke to be the director.
There's a great deal of pressure knowing how important this is to the fans, how personally they take it.
Stephanie wrote such a cool book, and I wanted to just make that real, make it visual, make it exciting, lift it off the page from words into just a thrilling experience that you felt like you were there.
My experience with Catherine has been wonderful. I have this sense that she really has my back on this.
They arrived. Yes.
She has kept the vision of the book, and she has kept, I think, everything in line with that.
Catherine was on the hunt for the perfect Bella and Edward. If they were going to turn a low-budget indie film into a smash hit, the casting had to be absolutely perfect. While reading the script, Catherine was already envisioning Kristen Stewart as Bella. She had just watched her film Into the Wild and was blown away. So she flew all the way to Pittsburgh, where Kristen was in the middle of filming for Adventureland. They did a quick informal audition where Catherine instantly knew that she had found her Bella Swan. Casting Edward Cullen, on the other hand, was a completely different story. Catherine spent almost an entire year auditioning nearly 5,000 men and couldn't find anyone who could capture Edward's intense, tortured, brooding energy. That is until Robert Pattinson.
Casting the Wolfpack definitely had its challenges, but it was nothing compared to what Twilight director Catherine Hardwicke had to go through to find the perfect Edward and Bella.
Thousands of people came out to audition for the part.
One thing Rob told me that before Twilight came around, he was seriously thinking about quitting acting, and he was going to pursue his music career.
A little known fact is that Jackson Rathbone, who is in the movie as Jasper Cullen, actually auditioned for Robert's role.
It's also a little known secret that Rob Pattinson almost didn't even get an audition.
He had self-taped in London and sent it in, but didn't have money to fly people in. So I really got on the phone with his agent and said, if you want him to have a chance, he needs to get to Los Angeles.
In an interview, Rob said he wanted to do Twilight because of Kristen Stewart. He knew she was the lead actress, he was a fan of her previous work, and he had a bit of a crush on her. All that was left was for him to fly to LA to do a chemistry read. A very bizarre one that took place on Catherine's bed, where they said all of 2 lines before having to make out.
Remember the day, this is the table that Rob and Kristen met, and they met, I think, in this room, sat right at this table and did the biology scene, you know, they auditioned for the biology scene. Then we went back to my bedroom and they did the kissing scene on the bed, on my bed, and I'm in there filming it. And at the end of the day, Kristen goes, it has to be Rob.
Audition process, going over to your director's house. What went on there?
Basically, I turned up not really knowing what was going on, and Catherine said, okay, we're going to do this scene, which I hadn't prepared for, which is basically just making out with the lead actress on her bed.
On the director's bed?
With her filming it. The only people, there was no one else around, just literally there's about 3 lines in the scene, and just making out for like 2 hours.
And you started to feel like there is this crazy connection.
He just understood the character in a way that nobody else did. Everybody else came in trying to play the perfect guy, and he was the opposite of that.
While the film was in development, more books in the series started to release and hit the shelves, making the fandom grow to unimaginable numbers. So when this new fandom initially found out that Rob was cast as Edward, it's hard to imagine now, but they were not happy. He was not at all who they envisioned to play the part.
When we cast Robert, we had immense feedback that was negative from the fan base, saying you've made the biggest mistake on the planet.
People were like, that guy's not even on the short list. He looks like a freak.
Within a week, there was a petition on the internet saying like, this is Edward Cullen and we have to stop this. And there were 75,000 signatures on this online petition. 75,000.
But the haters were quickly seduced by Edward's charm.
Yeah, I think it sort of changed when the trailer came out and stuff, and now, like, you know, people want to have my babies and stuff.
The Twilight trailer was the first real hint of what was coming. It premiered on MySpace, racking up over 3 million views. And well, for MySpace days, that was massive. Then when Twilight premiered on November 21st, 2008, fans lined up for hours at theaters across the entire country for the midnight showing. That is when Rob and Kristen got the first glimpse into just how much their lives were about to change forever.
I think they're a little bit excited.
I know, everyone's like wet in their pants.
Something tells me that you guys have a lot of fans. I'm afraid to even look around there because I know.
I know. They're all really nice. They're all really great. They're all my age too.
I've never seen a premiere like this. I mean, this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. How's it for you?
I don't know, I can't even
I'm not even really here. Like, my body is here, but my brain is like, I don't know where it is.
Twilight grossed $397.8 million worldwide. It was an instant smash hit, catapulting both Rob and Kristen to a level of fame they had never expected and certainly didn't want. When they signed on to the project, they thought they were doing an indie film. They had no idea that it would amass such an intense cult following. With any huge fandom comes toxicity. Rob was now the heartthrob, and it wasn't just teen girls who were obsessed with him, it was also Twilight moms. The obsession quickly escalated and just got really weird. The lines between reality and delusion definitely started to get very muddy. And you can just tell how freaked out Rob and Kristen were by the whole thing.
Call it Twilight Mania. At malls from Dallas to Seattle, San Francisco to Philadelphia, young fans by the thousands are barely able to control themselves.
We were all here very, very early yesterday. And slept through the night until 7 in the morning. Because he's the love of my life, the reason for my existence, and I love him.
And it's not just kids, even Twilight moms are lining up.
He is the perfect man. I mean, he's honest, he's protective, he's caring and loving, even though he's a vampire.
I had some girls come up to me the other day who'd pre-bitten themselves, so they were bleeding when they came up. And they're like, look, we're already bleeding, can you just lick a little bit of blood? And I was like, whew, okay.
You said yes.
No, I didn't say yes.
So you want Rob to marry you? I'm going to marry him. If you're watching this, Robert Pattinson, marry me. I love you, Edward! When he comes, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna scream, I'm gonna cry! Do you believe in vampires?
I do. They sparkle.
Do you believe in vampires?
Yes. I believe we're really out there. Everyone thinks I'm crazy though.
I could never imagine that thousands of girls would show up at a Stephenie Meyer reading and screaming and crying and tattooing themselves with the titles and women naming their babies after the characters in the books.
Take a look out there, out that window. That is just a few of the fans that seem to be following you guys wherever you go these days. Did you have any idea what you were in store for when you signed on for this film?
No.
A big no?
No way.
Yeah, that's a conclusive no.
I'm a little scared to face them.
They're all pretty nice.
Okay.
To your face.
Do you get a lot of weird questions from the fans when you're out there?
What's it like to kiss a vampire, Kristen?
Is it true that they've said to you that they will give you their blood?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Do you find it incredibly sexy, or what is it? But what is the appeal? It's a vampire.
Yeah, but it's Edward Cullen. I mean, come on!
I do think some of these fan interactions, from being mobbed at hotels to being asked to bite people, was a contributing factor into how much Rob seemed to hate Twilight. Now, you have to remember this was a lower budget movie, so Rob probably didn't get a whole lot of media training. Because of that, we got to see his unfiltered feelings during the first press junket.
I was convinced that Stephenie was convinced she was Bella. And especially when she says, oh, it was based on a dream, and it's like, oh, I had this dream about this really sexy guy, and she just writes this book about it. It's like, this woman is mad. I was trying to think of an analogy earlier. I was thinking like, you know, it's something about some guy, if he says like, listen, I'm gonna kill you, it's something really attractive about that. I was like, yeah, I mean, I really can't see it. If Edward was not a fictional character, and you just met him in reality, you know, he's one of those guys who'd be like an axe murderer.
When you put it the bare facts out, he tells her I'd killed 40 or 50 people, and he's like, you really shouldn't, and I want to kill you so much. Every single day, every moment I'm with you, I desperately wanted to kill you. And she's like, I don't care, I love you. And it's like, well, there's definitely something wrong with her, and there's very obviously something wrong with me. He's like, what am I doing with this kid? I'm 108 years old.
It was also during the press junket when fans started to notice Kristen and Rob's off-screen chemistry. They were both awkward, yet really flirtatious with one another. Just the way they interacted seemed almost like they were a couple in real life.
Like, how'd you guys get to know each other? Did you like go out and, you know?
We sat around my dining room table for like 2 entire nights with the script.
And 2 nights, there's more than 2 nights.
No, yeah, it was actually all pre-production, but there was 2 nights that were actually like,
yeah,
productive.
Could you fall for each other in real life?
We didn't really get on at all.
at all.
Sounds real cheery.
Yummy.
Now, the chemistry between you and Kristen is amazing. What did you do to kind of perfect that? Because I read that you followed her around for days and you proposed to her. Is this true?
Oh yeah, we were going to get married for a long time.
What about her boyfriend? Does he know?
Who cares?
What about the boyfriend?
Yeah, what about the boyfriend?
So have you really got a big crush on her?
What? I have no idea. I mean, like, she's a really good, she's a friend of mine. I mean, I don't really have...
What do you mean you've got no idea?
Is it true that he kept proposing to you on set?
You know, he got a little... We didn't get a whole lot of sleep. I think he said that to a lot of people in his life. Really. So I don't feel too special.
This is when the rumors that Kristen and Rob were more than just co-stars first started to circulate. Despite their very visible chemistry, Kristen was actually in a 3-year-long relationship with Michael Angarano. And according to Catherine Hardwicke, Rob and Kristen never crossed that line during the first film. Still, no matter how much they denied it, the speculation never stopped. For the next year, their are they or aren't they dynamic was everywhere. And when filming for New Moon began, the paparazzi and headlines went absolutely wild.
After Twilight's insane box office success, Summit Entertainment wasted no time securing the film rights to every remaining book and rushing straight into production for Twilight New Moon. But that caused director Catherine Hardwicke to walk away from the film, because she didn't want to compromise her creativity for the now intense studio pressures and deadline. Also on the set of New Moon, something else began to shift. Kristen and Rob started getting closer. All of a sudden, the line between Bella and Edward and Kristen and Rob started to get blurry. Now really think about it, they had just blown up to so much success. There weren't that many people that either of them could trust. So having someone who you have a lot of chemistry with who's going through the exact same thing as you made for the perfect storm. But before we get into all of that, we have to take it back to January of 2009. 2 months before filming was set to begin, Robert Pattinson was now considered the most desirable man on the planet. There became an obsession over who he could possibly be dating. His every move was under a microscope, and he quite literally could not leave his house without being stalked by paparazzi and fans. This is when outlets like E! Online, OK Magazine, and the Daily Mail started linking Rob and Nikki Reed together. They were reportedly inseparable, being spotted out at bars, parties, restaurants, and even hotels. But they needed to keep it all very secret because of fears of the fandom not being able to make the distinction between real life and the film.
Just last week, the Twilight crew was snapped in Vancouver behind the scenes of their very first week in production. Kristen tells E! that while she's a bit nervous filming a sequel to the cult phenomenon, it's all for the die-hard Twilighters.
You always feel the pressure, though, before you do a movie. It's like, of course, you don't start it unless you want it to be good and people to like it. This one is only going to be better, I think, because we're all that much more into it. So, I'm excited.
Now fast forward to March, everyone's back in Vancouver to shoot Twilight New Moon. And as you can imagine, with the whole cast finally being reunited, rumors started flying. Whispers of a secret love triangle between Rob, Kristen, and Nikki started making their way through the Twilight fandom. But at first, these rumors were completely untrue. Kristen was still very much with her boyfriend Michael, who was constantly flying in to visit her on set. In one interview, when Kristen was asked if all the fans wanting her and Rob to get together had hurt her real-life relationship, she said it hadn't, and that Michael's not the threatened kind of guy. When asked about Robert, she stated they covet him. I think half of them are so jealous that they hate me. What made all of this even messier was the friendships involved. Back then, Kristen and Nikki were best friends. They were constantly spotted out together grabbing sushi, shopping, and even sharing cigarettes. Michael had also been close with Nikki for years. They had filmed the movie Lords of Dogtown together back in 2005. So while they were all in Vancouver, Nikki, Rob, Kristen, and Michael became a really tight-knit group, going out to dinner or after parties on what seemed like double dates. But everything would seem to change around May of 2009, when the cast headed to Italy to wrap up filming. Now remember, Rob isn't in New Moon much. Most of Edward and Bella's big romantic scenes take place in Italy. And based on the timeline, this is when Rob and Kristen likely started becoming more than just friends. See, around the same time, rumors started swirling that the two were secretly dating, and nothing gets past Twilight fans. They noticed Kristen hadn't been seen with her boyfriend in weeks, and that her and Nikki were no longer being spotted out together by paparazzi. A crew member from Twilight even spilled to a reporter that even when they were both in their respective relationships, the spark between Kristen and Rob was magnetic. But Nikki was in love with Rob, and he dumped her to get with Kristen. All of this combined fanned the flames and made rumors explode that there was all this serious tension brewing between Nikki, Kristen, and Rob. Over the years, Nikki has responded to the love triangle rumors a myriad of different ways, going from flat out denying it ever happened to being a bit more cryptic about the entire situation. She said, quote, "The media turned everything into a competition between all of us. It was really unfair. We were so young and figuring things out." In another interview, she stated that the fandom had done a number on all of them, and she wished people hadn't made assumptions about her personal life with Rob. Later on, she did admit that they weren't all best friends anymore like they were in the beginning, and that all the success of Twilight completely changed their dynamic. By August, reports of a real-life Twilight romance were absolutely everywhere. While Michael and Kristen stayed silent, their breakup was confirmed when he was seen out with a mystery brunette. And with Rob being photographed leaving Kristen's house, Twilight fans were officially convinced that the two were together.
Well, the proof is in our pictures. We spotted Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart holding hands while leaving the airport in Paris. It was nighttime, but there's no mistaking it. And while we can't say for sure what the palm action really means,
K-Stu and R-Pats are determined to keep the exact nature of their friendship on the down low as they promote the steaminess that is Edward and Bella in New Moon, out November 20th.
As award show season rolled around, Rob and Kristen were absolutely dominating the headlines and the red carpets. They were spotted leaving the same bungalow at the Charlie Hotel. They photographed separately at the Teen Choice Awards but left together for a romantic weekend at the Chateau Marmont. And were even caught getting cozy at a Kings of Leon concert. It felt like every week there was new Robsten headlines. And with the New Moon premiere just around the corner, fans were absolutely losing it. So Rob and Kristen would awkwardly lean into the chaos at the MTV Movie Awards, teasing the crowd with an almost kiss.
I need to remove my gum.
Thank you so much.
But there was one major problem with Robsten actually becoming a real couple. The studio really didn't want them to get together, and their relationship was reportedly dividing the cast. Of course, there was the issue of Nikki and the tension that was going to create on the set of Eclipse, as well as the gossip magazines completely taking over the cast's lives. But according to Ashley Greene, what the studio really feared was a messy breakup that would impact Rob and Kristen's on-screen chemistry, or the way fans viewed them altogether. They still had 3 more movies to film, and there were literally billions of dollars on the line. So they needed to keep their relationship as discreet as humanly possible. It was a very delicate situation. While a relationship would completely promote the movie and send it to new heights, it also could cause the entire franchise to come crashing down. During PR for New Moon, any questions related to Rob and Kristen were not allowed, period. If they were even asked, the interview would be completely shut down.
What do you say to your fans who are desperate to know about you and your co-star Kristen? What can you tell them? What can you tell them about it?
I can tell them to watch New Moon.
We can't ask that question.
Movie.
Well, you can't ask that question to the guy. It's his co-star. It's a fair question.
Thank you very much.
But I was just cut off for the first time ever.
The thing I can say to them is watch New Moon. It's amazing.
When the second Twilight movie, New Moon, released on November 20th, 2009, it shattered records. Millions of fans across the country waited in line for the biggest midnight opening in history. You could probably hear the screams from miles away when Jacob took his shirt off at theaters across the globe. At the time, this movie was one of the most successful premieres in box office history, grossing $258.8 million in only the first 5 days.
Get ready to see hordes of starry-eyed teens and tweens camped outside your local movie theater. The long-awaited Twilight sequel, New Moon, opens this Friday, and if last night's premiere in Hollywood is any indication, it's going to be a huge hit.
Rob Pattinson's heartthrob vampire is back.
When I'm like 80, I'll be able to sort of show these videos to my grandchildren and just think like, this is how surreal my life was when I was 23 years old.
New Moon, the sequel to Twilight, couldn't premiere fast enough for fans who camped out for days.
I took a vacation day to be here.
These diehard fans have a name for themselves, twihards.
You're much hotter than Robert Pattinson.
I got a call saying that fans are starting to camp out, and this was like 5 days in advance, and I was like, what?
I'll never be able to experience something like this again, so this is really quite extraordinary.
Ticket sales are already over the moon. One website says advance sales for New Moon are already the biggest in movie history.
The Twilight craze had officially taken over 2009. You were either Team Edward or Team Jacob. It was no longer just a movie, it was a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Stores were packed with Twilight merch. From shirts, sweaters, jewelry, iPod skins, Barbies, even Burger King got in on the action. I remember my sister's 5th grade teacher having a big poster of Jacob and another teacher in her grade having a big poster of Edward, and they would always wear Team Edward and Team Jacob shirts separately, and they even gave out bookmarks where Jacob's shirt would come on and off. It was a really weird culture for the time. Rob and Kristen weren't just movie stars anymore. They were the it couple. You couldn't walk through a school in 2009 without seeing folders, binders, pencil cases. Their faces were everywhere. To twihards, Robsten had become the real-life Edward and Bella, catapulting their relationship into a level of public fame neither of them ever even wanted.
Are they or aren't they a couple? It's the question we've been asking ourselves for months. It didn't happen on the first movie. Nothing crossed the line while on the first film. It's up to you, trust your intuition. Wanna come undone? Yeah, I know you want to. I told Rob, don't even think about having a romance with her. A then 17-year-old Kristen. She's under 18. You will be arrested. I wanna take you to a higher ground, but I can't reach you if you don't go down, 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 deep in your heart. Tear down the walls that surround you. Down, down, let yourself fall straight into my arms.
2010 was peak Robsten mania, and for two people who valued their privacy more than anything, the fame would become an absolute nightmare. Kristen and Rob were hounded and harassed by the paparazzi. If they even set foot outside of their homes, there was someone there with a camera ready to snap and sell a photo of them. It got so out of control. The paparazzi would speed after them down highways, driving recklessly, just to get a shot. It got to a point where Rob and Kristen would have to take cover at police stations just to get away. It wasn't just the paparazzi that were the problem. Even though Rob and Kristen never technically confirmed their relationship, Robsten was plastered across every gossip and teen magazine. The headlines were non-stop. At first, it was cute stories about how in love they are and how they had secretly moved in together. But sweet love stories aren't where the money's at, so the headlines started to escalate. Suddenly, it was fake engagements, constant pregnancy speculation, claims that Rob had cheated with his Remember Me co-star, breakup stories, makeup stories, and even a secret wedding in England. It was absolute chaos.
Paparazzi, which I know has got to get so frustrating as they hound you every time you walk out your door, especially if you're with Rob. How do you deal with that?
I've had to sort of tell myself to just get more comfortable with it because it's not going anywhere.
When people are constantly berating you and asking you, are you and Rob dating? What goes through your mind and what do you say to them?
When asked, why don't I make my life easier and just like say why, do you think it would stop there? Like they would continue. It's not like they would say, okay, cool, we're gonna stop waiting outside your house, we're gonna stop following you around. It's not gonna happen, so I'm gonna keep it to myself.
2010 and 2011 would mark a massive turning point for both Rob and Kristen's careers. Eclipse had become another $700 million box office hit, and they were gearing up to spend 6 straight months filming Breaking Dawn Parts 1 and 2 back to back. But behind the scenes, they were desperate to break free of the Twilight mold. Rob even joked in an interview that he didn't want to play a vegetarian vampire forever. So he started scoring new roles in films like Water for Elephants and Cosmopolis to prove he wasn't just Edward Cullen. Kristen was also on the same exact mission. She signed on to the indie film On the Road and then landed the leading role as Snow White in Snow White and the Huntsman, marking her official transition into more adult blockbuster stardom.
Well, this is the beginning of the end, so to speak, of this amazing blockbuster franchise. How does that feel for you?
I don't know yet. I mean, it's kind of a relief in some ways, because I don't have to just constantly keep working like every 3 months, going back and doing another Twilight after. I mean, because I kept ramming in movies in between. But in other ways, I mean, I've lost the safety net.
Luckily, it feels good because I think that we're all at a place where it does feel done. I mean, I feel like I got to experience everything that I anticipated, everything that I built up to. Yeah, happy.
And be ready to move on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And hold it as something like you want to remember, so it's not going anywhere. So,
Twihards will cherish it for decades and decades and decades. It's not going anywhere.
Filming for the entire Twilight saga wrapped in April of 2011. Now that filming was officially over, Kristen and Rob started to get more comfortable being affectionate with each other out in public, something they had strictly avoided for the last 2 years. All of a sudden, they were seen kissing, wrapping their arms around each other, and Kristen finally confirmed their relationship with GQ UK, saying, "It's so obvious."
You might call this Los Angeles tent city Occupy Twilight, a campout for hundreds of Twilight fans so devoted they've been dubbed twihards. Breaking Dawn Part 1 is already breaking records.
Breaking Dawn Part 1 was the moment every twihard had been waiting for. The wedding, the steamy honeymoon scenes, the pregnancy. And just like always, the storyline bled right into Kristen and Rob's real life. Suddenly, every magazine was claiming that they were actually engaged. The headlines were so believable, Rob's own mom had to call him to see if it was true. Rob said in an interview, quote, "It's not, at least, not yet. But it is true that Kristen has always done something to me that others haven't." It just seemed like right when they finally got comfortable in the spotlight and let the world in just a little, it would all come crashing down in the most public way possible, igniting an internet media firestorm. In May of 2012, Kristen kicked off a worldwide press tour with the Snow White and the Huntsman cast, including director Rupert Sanders. The movie was a box office hit, and Kristen was riding the biggest career high of her life. But according to insiders, it was on that media tour when Rupert, a 41-year-old married father of 2, started getting far too close to Kristen. Fast forward about 2 months to July, Kristen was back in LA with Rob. They were doing Comic-Con panels together and even showed up to the Teen Choice Awards on July 22nd, hand in hand, looking very happy. Which is why what happened just 2 days later shocked the entire world. On July 24th, 2012, Us Weekly dropped a bombshell cover. Kristen cheats on Rob. Inside were exclusive photos of Kristen and Rupert making out in a car and all over each other at a park. It was undeniable. They were caught red-handed.
Stu Patz has been one of Hollywood's hottest young couples for over 3 years. Forbes magazine's highest-earning actress and Glamour magazine's sexiest man in the world 3 years running, they have a notoriously private relationship. These steamy pictures, released by Us Weekly Tuesday, reveal that instead of Team Edward versus Team Jacob, these days it's Team Pattinson versus Team Sanders. The snapshots apparently show 22-year-old Kristen Stewart stepping out on her on- and off-screen beau, Robert Pattinson, with her Snow White and the Huntsman director, Rupert Sanders, a 41-year-old married father of 2.
Rupert's wife and mother of his 2 children, Liberty Ross, was also in Snow White and the Huntsman, playing the mother of Kristen Stewart's character.
News of the scandal is hitting legions of twihards, well, hard.
I can't believe she would do this.
Sobbing YouTube videos, even tweeted death threats like this one. If it's true that Kristen Stewart has cheated on Robert Pattinson, I will personally kill her.
Today's New York Daily News headline calling Kristen a trampire. Even Lady Gaga is going gaga about Kristen's bad romance. Today she tweeted, quote, Geez, this Kirsten Rob stuff is brutal. Makes me sad the way press acts. Hope they're okay.
Oh, don't even get mad. Your chick chose him. You go ahead and get you another one, dog. That's how it rolls. Get your gigolo status on.
I don't know what it means to the Twilight franchise. I just don't know.
I'm sure it's gonna be fine.
It's not gonna be fine, ever!
Never seen you.
She is a trampire. That's what she is.
Your girlfriend cheated on you and you're like the best looking guy in the world. It's like, oh man, I must be bad in bed or something. What the hell happened? I'm good looking. It can't possibly be true that she left me for some old dude.
Yesterday, Kristen Stewart issued a surprisingly public confession to Pattinson, whom until now she had never publicly acknowledged even dating. In the statement, Stewart apologized to, quote, the person I love and respect the most, Rob. I love him. I love him. I'm so sorry. Soon after, Sanders also released his own apology, saying, I am utterly distraught about the pain I have caused my family.
Another blow this morning to stun fans as Kristen Stewart's betrayed boyfriend, Robert Pattinson, has just reportedly moved out. These photos taken on Thursday show a cargo van leaving the driveway of the home the Twilight co-stars share.
What happens next, personally, for Kristen? Does this hurt her? Does this hurt the box office?
Out of the two of them, to be honest, she had the more promising career in terms of short-term potential. Most recently, ironically, Snow White and the Huntsman, the film in which she met this director, had done very, very well at the box office, and he's had less success outside of Twilight. So she had a very promising future ahead of her. This could definitely hurt that, and no matter what, in November when the final Twilight movie comes out, there will need to be a lot of publicity done, and now there will be a massive elephant in the living room.
Everything Summit had feared when Rob and Kristen first got together had just happened. Breaking Dawn Part 2 was only months away from release, and their two biggest stars were at the center of a full-blown scandal. The Twilight fandom had turned on Kristen instantly. She was called every name in the book, from a to a homewrecker. It's hard to put into words just how massive Kristen's cheating scandal was. Like, you honestly had to be there. It was 24/7 coverage. You could not turn on your TV or go online without seeing it. That's when Kristen would completely disappear. She skipped every red carpet, didn't promote her film on the road, dropped out of the leading role in the movie Callie, and got written out of the Snow White sequel. Looking back over a decade later, Kristen took almost all of the heat, while Rupert, who was her boss and nearly 20 years older, got nowhere near the same level of backlash. As for Rob, he was actually hiding out at Reese Witherspoon's home to escape the media. He had found out about the affair along with the public and needed some time to process. But after a few weeks of hiding, he was thrown right into the Cosmopolis press tour, where every interviewer tried to get him to address the scandal.
Are you all right? Is everything okay? I'm worried about you, and you're all right.
I literally don't even know how to approach this now. Like
the ice cream?
Yeah.
Because it's a mess.
Last time I had a bad breakup, Ben and Jerry got me through some of the tougher times. So I thought you and I could bond over this.
Should do a thing.
Talk about, boy, you are better off. Kick her to the curb.
I know you know this. I got to get the elephant in the room out of the way. Everybody just wants to know, how are you doing? And what do you want your fans to know about what's going on in your personal life?
I mean, you know, they seem pretty excited about kind of whatever. I mean, literally, like, I mean, you can kind of be like, I like them. I like my fans to know that Cinnamon Toast Crunch only has 30 calories a bowl in it, for instance. Like, I mean, literally, I don't know. Pretty much everything comes out of my mouth is irrelevant.
No matter what, you know, people are going to read things into it. And I guess that I take it that you don't want to talk too much about it. Is that the way you handle all of this craziness, by just trying to put a complete...
It's a different thing. You get into it to do movies. I mean, I've never been interested in trying to sell my personal life, and that's really the only reason people bring it up.
By the time September rolled around, all signs pointed to Kristen and Rob possibly finding their way back to each other. On the 4th, Kristen's Vogue spread dropped. Even though the interview was technically done before the scandal, it may have caught Rob's attention, who had been ignoring her up to this point. This interview was the first time Kristen had ever publicly proclaimed her love for him. Quote, "My God, I'm so in love with my boyfriend. I think I want to have his babies. I love the way way he smells. And him me. Like, he loves to lick under my armpits. I don't get the obsession with washing the smell off. The smell of someone you love. Don't you think it's the whole point? It doesn't seem like a coincidence that just days after this interview hit stands, Kristen was photographed wearing Rob's clothes at LAX. Right after, reports started coming out that they are talking again and meeting up in secret.
The time? This morning, 1:30 a.m. The place? The Hollywood bar New Rustic Inn in Los Feliz. Rob and Kristen sing together for the first time since she was unfaithful last June.
They were there with 10 friends, all cozied up into one booth, smiling, laughing. They were very affectionate with one another. There was no tension at all.
Us Weekly now reporting that the couple's living together again, but there are conditions.
Rob really does love her. He wants to give her a second chance. Kristen is trying all that she can do.
They will be mad at us if we don't ask you, and they follow your life, and they want to know, are you back together with Robert Pattinson?
Funny you mentioned that. I'm just going to let people watch whatever little movie they would like to think our lives are and go for it, you know. Keep them guessing, I always say.
Many fans speculated that they reunited for PR reasons. Others were upset that Robsten were back together at all. But no one was more upset than Donald Trump, who went on a days-long Twitter tirade. Robert Pattinson should not take back Kristen Stewart. She cheated on him like a dog and will do it again. Just watch. He can do so much better. Lots of response to my Pattinson-Kristen Stewart reunion. She will cheat again. 100 certain. Am I ever wrong? And there were many, many more tweets just like this. Anyways, Rob and Kristen had gotten back together just in time for the Breaking Dawn Part 2 press junket, and they didn't seem any more awkward than usual. Despite everything, the scandal, the pressure, the non-stop headlines, Rob and Kristen still stood together on the Breaking Dawn Part 2 premiere carpet. Many were worried that the drama would somehow ruin the movie, but it didn't. Instead, it became the highest grossing film in the entire Twilight saga. And as the credits rolled for the last time, it marked the end of the entire Twilight era. But now that it was all over, what did that mean for Robsten moving forward?
With the Twilight saga finally behind them, that meant the endless press tours, red carpet events, magazine covers, and interviews also came to an end. The cast had just gone through 4 years of their lives under an intense microscope from the fandom to the paparazzi, and they were both ready to completely step away from the chaos to focus on themselves, their relationship, and how to move forward with their careers post-Twilight. It had now been 6 months since the cheating scandal shook the entire world, but Kristen and Rob still couldn't escape it. In January of 2013, Rupert's wife, Liberty Ross, officially filed for divorce, thrusting the scandal right back into the headlines.
Obviously, it was his widely publicized affair with Kristen Stewart that prompted it all. The British model eventually pulled the plug on the 10-year marriage for the sake of her own happiness, claims the report. She found that she just couldn't forgive Rupert for cheating on her with Kristen, especially since it caused such public embarrassment.
This was all happening as Rob was about to head out to Australia for 2 months to film his next project, The Rover. According to many reports, Rob wanted to use this time as a trial separation from Kristen so they could both clear their heads. And in that time, the media went into overdrive, speculating on Robsten's on and off again relationship. However, they would temporarily shut down the Trouble in Paradise rumors when Rob returned to Los Angeles in March of 2013. They were spotted looking very in love on a date at a karaoke bar. They were then seen 1 month later at Coachella, where onlookers said they seemed really happy.
Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson take their love to the desert. According to Celeb Buzz, they were seen, quote, kissing and holding hands during Radiohead. Why are Rob and Kristen so afraid to get snapped kissing in public? Do you think they are just shy, or is this part of their Twilight contract?
Right when Rob and Kristen's relationship appeared to finally be back on track, everything would blow up again. In May, they flew to New York. Kristen was attending the Met Gala, and while Rob didn't attend with her, they did spend a few days together in the city. Around the same time as their New York trip, contradictory articles started coming out. The first was that Kristen had reached out to Rupert several times after his divorce, wanting to meet up. However, another report said Rupert texted Kristen several times, but she ignored his romantic advances. And then you have Hollywood Life reporting that the two are sexting. Now, who knows if any of these reports are true? Regardless, it yet again brought the affair back into the headlines. It was the story that wouldn't go away. Everything between Rob and Kristen was becoming rocky because of the current news cycle. And when they returned to LA, everything came crashing down. Kristen had planned this birthday party for Rob, inviting all their friends over to swim, drink, and have a good time. But Rob wanted nothing to do with the party and completely blew it off. This sparked a huge argument between both of them. Multiple insiders said that Rob just couldn't move past Kristen's cheating and hung it over her head constantly. Kristen was in a place of either we move past this or we don't, giving Rob an ultimatum. Ultimately though, they couldn't move past it, and the birthday party argument would be the fight that officially ended Rob and Kristen's iconic relationship. The breakup rumors and headlines started to run wild. From speculation that Rob had turned to Katy Perry as more than just friends, to Kristen apparently dating Rupert after the breakup. None of this was ever confirmed and could all just be tabloid fodder, but it was absolutely everywhere.
Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson are going through another breakup, and this time it's serious. Rob has packed up his belongings and his dogs in his red pickup truck and moved out of her house.
Nice trash bags, Rob.
But now we've learned there's a little more to this story.
Oh my.
The Sun is reporting that while Kristen was taking a shower before that birthday party she had planned for him, Robert picked up her cell phone to take a photo of something, and in came a text from Rupert Sanders.
Wow.
Kristen Stewart showers?
Wow. One of Kristen Stewart's friends drove her to Taylor Swift's house.
What, Taylor Swift is now the go-to when you break up with
Well,
somebody?
Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber broke up, and Selena Gomez and Taylor Swift started hanging out. Now Kristen Stewart's broken up with Robert, and so she's going to Taylor Swift's house. I think they're all just sharing a magic pair of pants.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah, seriously.
Because Taylor Swift dated Taylor Lautner, who was in the Twilight movies with them. Because I didn't get the connection at first of how they would even know each other.
I heard that he landed in some very soft arms. Katy Perry was seen with Robert Pattinson. They left the Met Gala together, and they're seen out to dinner laughing and enjoying each other. I guess that means you're dating now.
I think she's waiting in the wings.
Yeah, she kissed a ghoul and she liked it.
For the next couple of years, both Rob and Kristen would take a similar path far, far away from Hollywood. They'd become way too familiar with worldwide fame. After everything they'd been through, the fame, the fans, the headlines, they were so done. Their passion wasn't fame, it was actually making movies. Both of them shifted their careers to indie films, which really allowed them to gain some control back of their private lives. Because remember, a lot of this tabloid fodder about Rob and Kristen was being fueled by magazines and movie production studios, all trying to cash in on the drama that was very real. For an indie film, it didn't require the same amount of promotion. Rob even said in an interview that he has no plans to do any major blockbusters or franchises like Twilight because of what they did to his personal life. Even though they had both managed to finally remove themselves from being the center of every gossip magazine, their past relationship followed them everywhere. And in the rare interviews they did do, the question always circled back to each other.
It's official. Robert Pattinson is over his troubled relationship with Kristen Stewart. In an interview with British Esquire, the Hollywood heartthrob opened up about being cheated on, saying, "It happens, you know, it's just young people. It's normal. And honestly, who gives a..."
After the 2012 scandal, Kristen really struggled with fame because for her, it had always been negative or fear-based, which is a major reason why she didn't come out for so many years and kept her then long-term relationship with Alicia Cargile under wraps. Also, it wouldn't be trivialized to the media. She told the New York Times, "People wanted me and Rob to be together so badly that our relationship was made into a product. It wasn't real life anymore." And that was gross to me. I was so publicly consumed that it became this weird toxic thing. She told the Sunday Times, quote, "The shaming that went down was so absurd. And this idea that I wasn't allowed to be messy or make a mistake, like, you." Fast forward to 2017, for the first time, Kristen would fully address the scandal on camera. It was for SNL, and Rob actually thought her opening monologue was hysterical.
I'm here to promote my movie Twilight, which this week has been on iTunes for 8 years. I'm a little nervous to be hosting because I know the president's probably watching, and I don't think he likes me that much. Here's how I know. 4 years ago, I was dating this guy named Robert. And we broke up, and then we got back together, and for some reason, it made Donald Trump go insane. Okay, so to be fair, I don't think Donald Trump hated me. I think he's in love with my boyfriend. So yeah, that's crazy, right? The president is not a huge fan of me. But that is so okay, And Donald, if you didn't like me then, you're really probably not gonna like me now because I'm hosting SNL and I'm like so gay, dude.
In 2019, nearly 7 years after the end of Twilight, Kristen finally made her return to blockbuster films with the hit movie Charlie's Angels. So she had to go on a typical press junket tour where one of the stops was the Howard Stern show. Now, if you've seen our past deep dives, you know Howard does not hold back when it comes to questions. The interview was over an hour long, and a majority of the questions were about the Twilight era. Usually Kristen would find a way to avoid answering, but this time she fully opened up. All about what happened with Rupert, Rob, and losing a major movie role.
Snow White and
Snow White.
Huntsman.
That fucking movie made like $500 million.
Did really well, yeah.
And then they didn't ask you to be in the sequel.
We lived in a different time then, you know what I mean? I feel like now, like the slut shaming that went down was like so absurd. And they should have put me in that movie. It would have been better. Not to be a dick, but...
You're saying there was slut shaming of you in that?
Well, they didn't put me in that movie because, like, I went through a highly publicized scandal,
Because
and so
you fell
they
in
were
love
like
with the
scared of touching. Yeah, they were scared of touching that.
Not to put you in a sequel because you fell in love with the director.
Well, I wouldn't say
what
that
kind
I
of
fell
bullshit?
in love with the director,
Oh, well,
but
you had
I
an
mean,
affair.
yeah, it was kind of a weird thing. But
Right. So you were blamed for you not being in the second movie just because you had sex with somebody. That's what you're telling me.
I did not fuck him.
Oh, you didn't fuck him. Okay.
I love this. This is the most candid interview. Ruth's gonna be like,
Ruth, take it easy. She just had a heart attack. No, but you didn't.
No, I didn't even.
Oh, so why not clear that up? Why not say that?
Well, who's gonna believe? It doesn't
believe
even
you.
matter. I feel like you do, and I actually feel like this is the most honest setting I've ever been involved with.
You have been so honest through this. I believe you. So why did you get pegged as fucking? You were dating.
Because it looks like, you like make out with a dude in public. It definitely looks like you. Yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't innocent. That was like, that was a really hard period of my life. You're like, I was like really young and like I made some mistakes.
When Twilight came out, what were you, about 21, 2?
I was 18.
You were 18.
Yeah.
And the way they're covering your romance with Robert Pattinson and all this, I had him on the show and he was talking about, he said no relationship could survive the intense scrutiny that we were under. It was insane.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we wanted to like keep it ours. And so it was like this thing of going like, well, do you live like openly and share your life in a way that actually entitles you to living it sort of more freely and naturally? Or do you like put it on lock because you hate the idea of perpetuating this like commodified version of your something that feels real to you? And you're like, no, I'm not selling you shit. But then you actually deprive yourself of like so many experiences. Like we didn't walk down the street holding hands because we were like, we don't want to give it to him. But then we didn't get to walk down the street holding hands.
Rob also returned to major blockbuster films with Tenet and The Batman. But despite still being asked about the Twilight Robsten era, he's always remained way more silent, just acknowledging that him and Kristen shared this unique experience. And he's always praised Kristen publicly.
Real-life exes Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson saw each other back in May when Kristen crashed Rob's birthday bash.
I went to Rob's birthday party recently.
Aw.
I kind of crashed with my friend Toni Collette, and then Kristen crashed it too. And she goes, ring the bell at the gate. Is it cool if I come?
Oh.
He says, of course. He's such a lovely person.
Oh.
That was just a few months ago. It was just like, oh my God.
Did you all reminisce? What did
we
you do?
all hugged each other. It's like, this is so crazy and cool.
Rob and Kristen having an unexpected mini Twilight reunion at his 37th birthday felt like a full circle moment. Both of their lives look completely different now from when the saga first began back in 2008. Rob welcoming his baby girl with Suki Waterhouse, and Kristen marrying Dylan Meyer just this year. For a long time, they tried to outrun their Twilight past, even pushing against it. But now, as the cultural phenomenon has turned into nostalgia, they look back at it from a different lens, stunned by how what was supposed to just be an indie project blew up into a massive franchise that has truly stood the test of time. In the end, Robsten didn't just define a generation, it branded a moment in pop culture history that will never disappear.